My name is Shane Scott. I am a litigation attorney and a mindfulness coach. And if I'm on here, I'm either talking about how to use mindfulness to break through the burnout cycle in your business or how to protect your business with the law. I am the spiritual litigator, and today I want to talk about the movie I watched last night on Netflix, I Am Not Your Guru, the Tony Robbins movie. And let me tell you, I was pretty happy with this movie. First off, my impressions were very good. But I just want to give you a little bit of background on my knowledge of Tony Robbins and how that kind of went into my opinions about this movie. So, for those of you who don't know who Tony Robbins is, he is a life coach, mindfulness coach, self-help coach. He's been in the business for, almost 30 years, and he really is up there like with Oprah and all these people who have made it to the top. And this documentary goes through his 6-day seminar, Date with Destiny, which is actually, it takes place with 2,500 people in Florida, and they pay about a little bit under $5,000 per person to participate in this program. And I will tell you that I'm usually very skeptical when it comes to self-help seminars and self-help documentaries, because obviously they're self-promotional, that's the point. But I'm also very, very careful about any self-help that goes to the masses and may or may not cause people to make decisions based on what that person says. I'm always very like anti-guru, and then the fact that this thing was actually called I Am Not Your Guru made me think, okay, well, you know, we'll give Tony a try. And I know that there are other people that I follow who I don't necessarily agree with, but I think that they have a good message. So for example, Esther Hicks is one of my favorite to follow because she explains the law of attraction, in my opinion, better than anybody else. At the same time, she has this whole channeling gimmick, and I'm not 100% sold on that, but I take the content for what it is. I also am always very, very cautious about anyone who purports to go around the audience and speak to people, because I remember from the 90s, the Peter Popoff scandal where the guy was a faith healer and he pretended to hear voices from God that told him about various people in the audience, when in reality they found out that he was just getting, that they had done really, really good research prior to the seminar. They had done really good research prior to the seminar, and they instead were completely making up this whole voices from God. It was really a voice from his wife telling him, okay, this person in this row in this seat is actually having all these problems. Let's pretend that we are talking to God and you know, freak them out and freak everybody else out and take all their money. This is not what Tony Robbins is doing at all in his seminars, and I don't know what I expected when I turned the movie on, but I didn't expect the opening sequence where he was speaking to a suicidal individual, and it was really a powerful introduction into what his seminars do. And I love a coach or a guru who uses profanity in a very effective way. I don't like when people over-censor themselves. The world isn't censored. This is, you know, adult advice, as long as you're not being crass and we all know the line between effective profanity and profanity for profanity's sake. And he really he knows the line, and it's really, he explains it that when you sometimes just throw out an F-bomb that pulls people out of like this state of like being stuck, it really makes people listen, and it makes people stop and say, okay, what is this person saying? And I think we all need a jolt or a kick in the ass sometimes to tell us like, hey, no, what you're thinking is old and outdated. We need to get you in a different direction. So I really like his style. I like how he, you know, picks people in the audience. And like I said earlier, you never know when you're watching any of these self-help gurus going around, whether the people in the audience that they pick out are plants or whether they are genuinely people that they randomly picked. We just don't know. So I always find that I try to watch and I try to see, okay, does this feel genuine and does this feel real? And it felt real to me. It felt like these were genuinely people that he picked out, and maybe he, knew about some of them beforehand, because I know they were having these meetings about people who were red flags and people who had serious issues. And maybe some of those were planned, but it wasn't to the point where these people are completely fabricated or these people are completely not genuine. So I really liked how all of the interactions appeared genuine. All the stories that the people told appeared to be genuine. There was a woman that suffered very serious sexual abuse as a child, and that was a very powerful interaction. And it seemed genuine. I mean, are there people out there that make that up? I don't know, but it didn't seem like it was made up. So I thought that all the interactions seemed to be very on point. One interaction in particular that I thought was really affected me was one of the first interactions in the documentary with a 19-year-old woman who wanted to know how she could take care of herself more, like be more healthy, eat more healthy. And okay, so the first thing I thought was she didn't look like she needed to be more healthy. She was actually, she was in shape. She looked skinny. But I think that Tony started to really ask questions as to, okay, what happens if you don't take care of yourself? Like, he gave her a lot of softball questions. And then he kind of went to, who is someone in your life when you were growing up that you really were seeking love from? And it wasn't fun to her anymore. Like, she really got very uncomfortable, and she admitted, like, she didn't have a very good relationship with her father because he had an addiction issue. And Tony really hammered into how she doesn't feel like she can get the love that she wants because she couldn't get the love from him. And that as a result of that, there's been good and bad things that have happened in her life as a result of his behavior. And so he said, look, you need to call him today. And you need to thank him for all of the bad stuff that he did, and also thank him for all the good stuff that he did, because as a result of all of his problems, that made you a stronger person. And that was really, the whole interaction was just so emotional, and you have to actually see it to actually understand how it felt. Me explaining it doesn't do it any justice, but I thought that was really good because, no, I didn't grow up in that type of household. I didn't experience, thank God, I didn't experience addiction from like my parents. My parents were actually very, very supportive. They were strict. I grew up in a Catholic household, and I grew up with very high expectations of me. And I found when Tony was asking these questions, I was thinking about my relationship with my mother, and my mom is just amazing. She was a great parent, but she also expected a lot from me, and she expected me to excel in all areas that I put my mind to, and she often guilted me when I didn't do my best. And as a Catholic child, I think you get a lot of, it's a sin to not do the best that you can do. So I got a lot of that, and that was really difficult to deal with sometimes. And if I didn't get the A, or if I didn't do my best, it was less about the A or the B. It was more about, you didn't do your best. I can tell you didn't do your best because you could have studied more. You could have done this. So I grew up with this, I have to do the very best I can do or I'm not going to get love. And a lot of these beliefs that we hold on to, they don't really make a lot of sense in, theoretically they don't make sense. Like when you look at them on paper, it doesn't make sense that your parent wouldn't love you because you didn't get an A, or your parent wouldn't love you if you didn't try your best at something. But these thoughts become beliefs in our minds, and then we do things based on those beliefs. It's like a program that's always running, and whether or not it makes sense, that's how we are going to react and conduct our life as a result of it. So later in life, I'm like in my 30s, and I'm still having conversations with my mom and getting really upset when she criticizes something. And I mean like viscerally upset, like just like, I've done everything you asked me to do. I got my college degree, and I got this job, and I didn't get pregnant. I didn't go to jail. Like, what else do you want from me? And my mom would get upset, and then we'd just be like butting heads, and we just wouldn't speak. And it was like all of our conversations became very strained. And then it was like all of a sudden I realized oh my gosh, this is because of this program that's been running and I need to tell her. And one day we had a full out conversation where I just told her, I can't be perfect for you. And we both paused and realized, like, this is why I'm getting so upset when she's criticizing me. And she told me that, you know, it's okay, you know, you don't have to be perfect, but I understand why I made you feel like you had to be perfect. And ever since then, I have just felt so much better. Our conversations have been so much like happier and better. And when she makes a criticism, I'm not flying off the handle. I'm not like losing it, because it doesn't mean that the love is going to go away. It just means that this person cares about me deeply and wants me to succeed and wants to still give me advice and nurturing no matter how old I am. So that's why that particular interaction between Tony and the 19-year-old really affected me, because it wasn't even close to the scale of the pain that she had had, but it still explained why I went through my pattern and why I reacted and was triggered a certain way. So thank people in your life who have maybe hurt you or caused you pain. Thank them for the good and for the bad, because a lot of us would not be the people we are today if we hadn't had someone pushing us along for the good and the bad. So I won't get into the whole of the movie. What I will say is definitely recommend it. Bring tissues. It was a lot more in depth than I thought it would be. And that's another criticism I have for other, other life coaching type of movies or documentaries, is there's kind of like very fluffy, I guess is the way to say it. Very like, it's too much smiling. Like we gotta really get into these issues. And I think that Tony Robbins just gets into it and he genuinely cares. At least that's the persona that he gave off in the movie. I felt it. He might have put one over on me, but I don't think he did. I think that it really was worth watching. So if you are looking for a transformative movie, if you're into mindfulness, you're into spirituality, you're into the law of attraction, I definitely recommend Tony Robbins' movie, I Am Not Your Guru, and it's on Netflix, and definitely check it out. And if you watch it and want to give me comments and say whether you agree or not agree with my review, please hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Shane_Scott, and I'm at Shane_Scott on everything. So Snapchat, Twitter, Periscope, everything else. So definitely feel free to hit me up and talk to me about this stuff. So everybody enjoy the end of their summer. Thanks.